Well, the return of sports is coming. The unthinkable happened in early March when nearly every sports league in the country suspended play because of the virus. While fans are eager for games to resume, the virus will affect sports for the foreseeable future. Ethan Burks reports.
Brendan Pickens and his family are diehard Hoosier fans who live near Indianapolis. You would know that the second you walked into this room of their home that's strictly dedicated to the Cream and Crimson.
Just grew up in a family of Hoosiers and friends, and all of our game days were spent together watching IU football, basketball, any other sport we could watch.
Pickens says IU sports brings his family closer together and gives them something to bond over and take great pride in. That's why when the IU men's basketball season was canceled in the middle of the Big Ten tournament back in mid-March, his family didn't quite know how to react.
She said it best. The next day, we're all sitting around and talking about March Madness, and what'd you say? March Madness is now March Sadness, so she coined it.
Pickens says it was almost a depressed-like feeling, but not just over the men's team. Being the father of 3 daughters, Pickens says the family closely follows the women's team, too.
They were, top 20 most of the season and probably a 5 seed going into the tournament. And then, like I said with IU, kind of making the move to, I think, do some damage. I mean, it's just kind of an emptiness, like, hey, what could have been?
Dr. Ed Hurt, a professor of psychology and brain sciences at IU, studies sports fandom and its psychological effects on people's attitude.
We found that it extends not just in affecting your mood, but it actually affects your self-esteem. That it really affects how you think of yourself because that team and you are so connected.
This is something Hurt calls berging, basking in reflected glory.
And so it's kind of the idea that, when your team's winning, it reflects positively on you. So what do? When our teams win, we want to say we're number one, and we wear identifying apparel showing that we're fans of that team.
Hurt says these unprecedented times without sports are complicated to examine, especially for rabid fans because there's no winning or losing to identify with.
But I think for most people, the big question is, how is that void being filled? Because we were so used to this. We took it for granted. This is a huge part of our lives.
For Brendan Pickens and his family, it's been looking more to the past and reliving those winning Hoosier moments with his daughter.
Yes! We got into YouTube a lot to watch old basketball games. So I've been introducing Hadley to Damon Bailey and Calvert Chaney and Alford and those group of players that I grew up on, and obviously Bob Knight and what I would call the golden era of Indiana basketball, and just kind of teaching a little bit of history on all that.
With the basketball season unable to finish, Hoosier fans are now looking toward the football season this fall with hopes of staying on schedule. Last season, the football team went 8-5, the program's best record since 1993. Which has Hoosier fans eager to see what's in store this season at Memorial Stadium. That is, if we'll have college football at all. So far, the university has not made a decision yet, but one IU sports journalism professor is optimistic.
It would be a real shame to lose this upcoming season. The way things are trending, I don't think that's going to happen, but regardless of what occurs, it's going to probably be a very different sort of year.
Last week, the NCAA announced football players could come back to train on college campuses in limited capacity starting June 1st.
Universities are going to do what they need to do from a legal liability perspective and from a financial survival perspective.
Part of that financial impact comes from ticket sales. In 2019, the football program made $6.8 million from tickets. But that revenue might be lost for this season because the NCAA could consider fanless stadiums and only play games on TV for everyone's safety.
I think people in general are going to be a little bit hesitant about going and sitting in close physical proximity to people. There's just going to be a psychological barrier that a lot of folks, particularly older folks or people over the age of 40, are going to run into.
But Pickens says as long as the COVID numbers are considered safe enough come this fall, he would love to be back on campus for a game with his family.
Hoping that they open things up once football season starts back up and we can get down there in Bloomington and proceed with life as normal.
But there's no telling when or how long it will take for life to get back to normal and what that new normal will look like. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Ethan Burks.
In a recent poll from Seton Hall, 72% of respondents said they would not attend games until there's a coronavirus vaccine. A similar percentage, 76%, said they would be fine watching broadcast of the games without fans.